Bolshoi brat. I'm recording this with shaking hands. If you're hearing this, it means I'm still out there in those woods, or at least a part of me never truly left. It all started last fall. I took my old Jeep and headed toward a spot on the map marked as Blackwood Forest. It's a beautiful area, but the locals won't go near it. I just thought they were superstitious, simple people. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the world in a surreal, bruised purple, I set up my tent in the deepest part of the forest. But as night fell, the voice of the woods changed. The usual crickets, the rustling leaves, everything went dead silent. It wasn't a natural silence. It was the kind of silence that feels like it's screaming in your ears. In the dead of night, something woke me up. There were footsteps outside my tent. Slow, heavy, deliberate steps. I whispered, "Who's there?" And from the darkness, my own voice whispered back, "Who's there?" I thought someone was playing a sick joke. I unzipped the tent, grabbed my flashlight, and scanned the trees. Nothing. But there, in the damp dirt right next to my tent, were barefoot prints. They were the exact same size as my own feet. Panic set in. I ran to my Jeep and locked myself inside, but the engine wouldn't turn over. I looked at my watch. The hands were spinning manically, backwards then forwards, losing all sense of time. That's when I heard it. A soft tap on the glass. Tap, tap, tap. I looked up, and standing right outside the window was my own face staring back at me, but that me had no eyes. Just hollow, bottomless black pits where the eyes should have been. I bolted out of the car and sprinted into the woods. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to get away. Eventually, I stumbled upon an old abandoned cabin. It felt strangely familiar. Inside, I found an old dust-covered journal on a table. When I opened the first page, my heart nearly stopped. There, in my own handwriting, it said, March 20th, 1976. I can't find my way out of the woods. But I'm living in 2026. How could a note written in my handwriting from 50 years ago be here? I started looking at the photos pinned to the walls. They were pictures of my father, my grandfather, and their friends, but all their faces were scratched out. Only one photo remained clear. It was a picture of me when I was 5 years old. The boy in the photo seemed to whisper, "Don't go back, it already ate your voice." Suddenly, hundreds of voices erupted from outside the cabin. They were the voices of everyone I've ever known. My first grade teacher, my childhood best friend, my current colleagues, they were all calling out to me at once. "Come out, we're waiting for you. You're part of us now," they shrieked. I peeked through a crack in the door and saw that these things weren't human. They were tall, twisted, bark-like creatures. They had no faces, but when they opened their mouths, my loved ones' most precious memories came pouring out. I felt them sucking the thoughts right out of my brain, draining my past. I covered my ears and collapsed to the floor. "It's a dream, just a dream," I repeated until my voice cracked. At dawn, everything went quiet. I crept out of the house and ran until my lungs burned. When I finally reached the road, my Jeep was still there, but it was rusted, overgrown with vines and moss. I looked inside, and a skeleton was sitting behind the steering wheel. In its hand was my phone. I grabbed the phone and tried to turn it on. When the screen flickered to life, I saw over 1,500 missed calls, all from my mother. But the last message had been sent 20 years ago. I ran down the road until I reached the city, but the world had changed. People wore strange clothes. Skyscrapers I didn't recognize towered over me. I walked into a store and looked in a mirror. An 80-year-old man looked back at me. I thought I had spent one night in those woods, but in reality, 50 years had passed. Do you want to know the most terrifying part? As I'm telling you this story, I can see the reflection of that 5-year-old boy in the mirror behind me. He's looking at me, whispering in my voice, "You're still in the woods. This is just your last dream." If you're planning a trip to the forest, check your watch. If it stops, it means they've already stolen your life.